Choosing a Name by Jhumpa Lahiri. The namesake is a tale of adopting a new country as one's home. When Indian immigrants Ashima and Ashok have their first child in America, they give him two names as per the Bengali tradition. The nickname Gogol after the famous Russian writer Nikolai Gogol and an official name Nikhil. Read this extract to learn how Gogol chooses a name for himself on the first day of his school. There is a reason. Gogol doesn't want to go to kindergarten. His parents have told him that at school, instead of being called Gogol, he will be called by a new name. A good name, which his parents have finally decided on, just in time for him to begin his formal education. Well, this seems like a tough choice. Gogol, the protagonist of the story, does not want to join kindergarten because if he joins kindergarten, he will have to adopt a new name, which his parents have decided for him. They call it a good name. And if joining kindergarten means that he has to have a new name, he doesn't want to go. The name Nikhil is artfully connected to the old. Not only is it a perfectly respectable Bengali good name, meaning he who is entire, encompassing all, but it also bears a satisfying resemblance to Nikolai, the first name of the Russian Gogol. This family lives in America. This family is a traditional Bengali family. This family has not forgotten its roots. According to Bengali tradition, a person must have two names, a nickname and a good name. The good name is used for official purposes. They chose Gogol as the nickname for their son, which was taken from the name Nikolai Gogol, a Russian writer. And the good name chosen for Gogol was Nikhil. And it was an intelligent choice because it was a perfectly respectable Bengali good name. Nikhil means he who is entire, encompassing all. Nikhil means absolute in himself. Nikhil is complete in all forms. And another reason for choosing Nikhil was that it had resemblance with the first name of the Russian writer Gogol. It resembled with Nikolai. Nikhil. So this was quite an artful choice by Ashok, father of Gogol. Ashok had thought of it recently, staring mindlessly at the Gogol spines in the library, and he had rushed back to the house to ask Ashima her opinion. So the idea of choosing Nikhil as the good name for his son struck him suddenly. He was in the library and he was sitting mindlessly, looking at the spines of the books of Nikolai Gogol. And suddenly he had this idea of choosing Nikhil as the good name for his son. Quickly, he ran to his wife to ask if that was a good name. He pointed out that it was relatively easy to pronounce, though there was the danger that Americans obsessed with abbreviation would truncate it to Nick. She told him she liked it well enough, though later alone she'd wept, thinking of her grandmother who had died earlier in the year and of the letter forever hovering somewhere between India and America, containing the good name she'd chosen for Gogol. All right, so when he ran to his wife to ask her opinion on the name Nikhil, he got a positive response. He was quite worried that Americans would shorten Nikhil to Nick. But that wasn't much of a problem because that was going to happen anyway, as he thought that Americans were obsessed with abbreviations. And Ashima did give her green signal to the name. But later, when she was alone, she wept because she wanted to know the name that would have been given by her grandmother to her son. There was a letter that never arrived. There was a letter that was stuck somewhere between India and America, which was sent by her grandmother before she died. And the letter contained the good name that the grandmother had chosen for Gogol. She wanted to know what other name could have been given to Gogol, the name chosen by her grandmother. She was emotionally attached to that letter, a letter which never arrived, but there were strings attached because it was sent by her grandmother. Ashima still dreams of the letter at times, discovering it after all these years in the mailbox in Pemberton Road, opening it up only to find it blank. So the letter still haunts her in her dreams. And when it finally arrives in her dreams, she opens it up only to find it blank. There's nothing in that letter. So the letter still haunts her in her dreams. But one thing has been decided upon, that Gogol is going to get a new name, and it's Nikhil. But Gogol doesn't want a new name. He can't understand why he has to answer to anything else. Why do I have to have a new name? He asks his parents, tears springing to his eyes. This child is unable to understand the problem with the name Gogol. That why he has to start answering to a new name all of a sudden. Why does he even need a new name? Because he is emotionally attached to the name Gogol. He has got habitual to answering to that name. And he doesn't want a good name. He doesn't want a new name. And when he asks his parents, why do I have to have a new name? The tears sprung up in his eyes. It would be one thing if his parents were to call him Nikhil too. But they tell him that the new name will be used only by the teachers and children at school. He's afraid to be Nikhil, someone he doesn't know. Furthermore, he has been informed by his parents that Nikhil is going to be his name only at school. Nikhil is only going to be used by the teachers and children at his school. And that for his parents and family is always going to be Gogol. Now this confuses him further because he will have to maintain two identities simultaneously. And he doesn't want to be Nikhil because that's completely a new person. He doesn't want to be a new person with a new identity. He doesn't want to be a new person for new people. His parents tell him that they each have two names too, as do all their Bengali friends in America and all their relatives in Calcutta. It's a part of growing up, they tell him, part of being a Bengali. So, having two names for them is a part of their tradition. It's a part of them being a Bengali, a true Bengali. It's a part of growing up. And they just can't give it up just because they live in America. They have to have two names. They write it for him on a sheet of paper, ask him to copy it over 10 times. Because they want Gogol to be in the habit of being called Nikhil, and he should be able to write his good name. He should be able to write his new name. Don't worry, his father says. To me and your mother, You will never be anyone but Gogol. At this point, his father is trying to console him. He's trying to tell him that he is going to have a new name, but that will be only for his teachers and his schoolmates. For his parents, he doesn't have to lose his old name. That for them, he will be no one but Gogol.